on the panel discussion. So because we did gentlemen first, now I would love to have lady first. Anybody wants to give us what's your very first leadership step in Toastmasters and what lessons you learned from that? Anybody wants to just unmute themselves and to share? Remember, each of you will have 4 minutes to share around these questions. Carol, since you start from District 7, you are from District 72, do you want to start?
Sure. Thanks, Faye. My very first Toastmasters leadership experience. Look, I guess that was my first year on the XCOM of my club. I was the VPPR. I had been in Toastmasters all of 3 or 4 months, and it was not something I wanted to do. However, I was talked into it because my mentor then, who is still my mentor now, 22 years later, to quote Dan and Jaya, said she saw something in me. And I became the VPPR. What did I learn from that? I learned that it was not a workplace, and I had to create new understandings of expectations around what people would do. Because in the workplace, it's very easy to have different accountabilities around non-delivery of outcomes. And I learned that in a volunteer organization, that it doesn't matter how much you plead, cajole, bribe, or beg, that people will have different priorities to you, different deadlines, and a different way of doing things. You know, they bring that diversity of what they do that you don't get in a corporate world. So it really taught me to get patience and understand that very often you would just have to do it yourself because deadlines could not be met. And if you wanted to be delivering towards a goal of club excellence, DCP and what have you, very often times it meant that you would shoulder a lot more work than what you had signed up for. That's what I learned.
Thank you so much, Carol. Loved it. And this is definitely showing us because you were really known for creating this safety net to get everybody to be the backbone for everybody, and then people first leadership style. And that was perfectly experienced from your stories that you just shared with us. Thank you so much. Now we would love to hear maybe from Lee.
Thank you, Faye. Hello, everyone. My first experience, I joined as a charter member of a college club. I was the academic manager at that time, and they said to me, Lee, you're the academic manager, you can be the VPE. I thought, great, sure, what do I do? They told me they're supposed to be club mentors and club sponsors, but I never saw them. And so for the first meeting, they said to me, just put together an agenda. I thought, what am I supposed to do? Yeah. And that started my journey for the next 6 months. Every night, instead of going home or having dinner with friends, I went out to different Toastmasters club. I turned up, they said, you're a Toastmaster? I said, yes. You can be the counter. I said, sure. But at the back of my mind, what do I have to do? What am I supposed to do? Yeah. My first couple of weeks, I was shaking, but of course, on the surface, you're smiling. You get, yep, sure, no problems. But there was sweat coming down. And over that 6 months, I couldn't recall now how many CL and CC manuals just from going around. And what I learned from that was don't just sit around and wait for your mentors and sponsors. If you don't know something, just be proactive, just go out. And there are lots of Toastmasters out there who will help you along the way. And I think that's helped me shape my leadership style in Toastmasters in terms of first, while I'm learning, it's great, but don't just think that you'll be in that position forever. From day one, find your successor, find someone to develop so that as we say in the corporate world as well, if I find someone to replace me, then I can move up. Isn't that great? Yeah, I can sit around. No, no, I'm just kidding. But it was hard. It was hard in terms of trying to find your successor, trying to find the person, because I used to use the Dhananjaya trick as well. I see something in you. Yeah. But of course, sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't. But at the end of the day, find your successor from day one so that you can start to work with your successor to develop them while you develop yourself. Back to you, Faye.
Wow. Thank you, Lee. That was very powerful. I think that's something that you remind me of learning by doing, but also learning by teaching. Through this process, you kind of grow yourself, but as also you teach somebody else. That's so wonderful. Thank you so much, Lee. And now, we would love to hear some thoughts from Elliot, Mao 老师.
Did you hear what she called me? She called Mao 老师. Oh, this is already a cross-cultural meeting, isn't it? Yes, she called me Teacher Mao. So you probably have a little idea about why I got to be asked on this panel. So for example, I've been in Toastmasters for a quarter of a century. That's 25 years. I know some of you weren't even born yet, okay? So it's almost like very misleading to ask me to explain leadership from my first Toastmaster leadership step. And it's almost like not fair either to say about that one lesson, because that concept of leadership has evolved over all those years, haven't you? Yeah, you're not that person who had that first experience. So to be fair to the question itself, I'm just going to grab a couple of evolving meanings of what it meant for me. For example, I joined Toastmasters like many people go, oh, I got to be a good speaker. Oh, I like to be a good public speaker. But when I actually joined and I discovered that Ralph Smedley, the founder, has never meant it to be a public speaking forum. He says communication and leadership, didn't he? Communication and leadership. I said, from the get-go, the leadership track was on there. I was not even thinking about that. But by and by, here's a couple of my aha moments. It turns out that if we do promise to give you a voice, teach you how to be a better speaker, once you have a voice, people will start to listen to you. And when people start to listen to you, you now have a responsibility. That's where the leadership comes on. That's where the leadership comes in, of course. So that's why I actually love the fact that after 25 years, when people say, haven't you learned to speak by now? It's not the speaking part. We all still need to hone those skills, but it's the leadership track that absolutely attracts me. But more important is that I love the concept of what Ralph Smedley called servant leadership. And that phrase was in danger a few years ago when I was told that we cannot use that expression anymore because it is legally patented. And also it's a little too religious. All right. So I'm not here to preach. I'm not here to patent anything, but I'm sorry. I love that concept. I love that concept and I hold on to that concept. So the servant leadership doesn't mean to be humble. It means to serve. There's nothing more fascinating and encouraging and inspiring to do that. So this is why when Faye and Riku asked me, would you like to be part of this global panel? I am so honored to be with leaders around the whole world. And I hope that they also share this love for servant leadership. Back to you, Faye.
Thank you, Mao 老师. Thank you, Elliot. And isn't it great? Because every single time you hear from Elliot, you always learn something new, and then you always draw into by her very strong presentation styles. But that's because she using her own voice to lead us to think what leadership style we want to have. Now we would love to, now let's move on to gentleman team. And the first one we would love to hear is probably from Ali.
Hello, hi, Faye.
Hi. Just to refresh, and we are going to talk about a little bit on your very first, because I know you're very experienced leading through the multiple countries. So now we would love to hear where you start. What's the teeny tiny step that you start and what lesson you learned?
Thank you, Faye, for that wonderful question. And I would start where Elliot stopped. She was talking about a century. I'm a little less than the century. I've been in Toastmasters for 20 years now, and I'm sure Sunny Vargas will have a bigger surprise when he speaks. Uh, I I I came into Toastmasters being recommended by a few friends, got in different positions at the club level. But there was this one position which actually I was totally ready to go ahead and take it, and that was the president of the club. So there was an election, and I won at the club level. I said, okay, I have to do my job. So there was this one night we used to meet every Tuesday from 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. We had a debate at the big club business session, and I was a very new president, less knowledge, and I still remember that debate ended up by midnight, almost 11:30 p.m. It was a very heated debate, and that club we had like 45 members almost in attendance that night. So there was this uh, very experienced Toastmaster. This was back in 2005, I believe. There was this very experienced Toastmaster who came up to me, and I was on the lectern, and he told me, Ali, why don't you apply parliamentary procedures and just finish it off? The meeting is being dragged. And I was like, we have a heated debate going on, and what this guy means, parliamentary procedures, you know? So I was lost. Somehow, some senior members helped us finish the meeting as soon as possible. But the debate never ended. We still stayed at the parking lot discussing what to do next. That night, when I went home, I started surfing the internet all about Robert Rules of Order, parliamentary procedures, and here I am today, a registered parliamentarian by the National Association of Parliamentarians in the US. So for me, leadership is just say yes, get started, have the enthusiasm to serve, and once you're there, you don't need to be perfect in your first step. Just be there. And if you want to be a servant leader, just say yes, go ahead. But then you need to learn, you need to read and uh, up your game. And that's what I did when it comes to business sessions at the club level, district, uh, area, division, wherever it is. I tried my best to read the constitution, the bylaws, anything to do with governing documents. I go in prepared by reading. So when I talk to leaders today, for example, area directors, some of them across the world, division directors who come to me and they ask me about how to solve this issue. I just point back at the governing documents. Did you read this? Did you read your district leadership handbook? But when I ask them basic questions on district leadership handbook, they don't read it. You see, I asked an area director once, what's the minimum meetings you should conduct every term as an area director? So sometimes they have no idea. Maybe one who is supposed to be in your area excom or area council, no idea what's the difference between an excom or a council. So definitely we share the same book, same manuals given to us by Toastmasters International. And reading is the only way we can gear up and move forward in leadership. With lack of knowledge, it's going to be a tough ride. So, in conclusion, yes, we have the passion to serve. We can only do good job once we are knowledgeable about the job. So say yes, get in, but then start reading. Over to
Thank
you, Faith.
thank you so much. I love you point out the very hard truth is maybe a lot of time I feel like when we deliver table topics, we always say yes first. And then we often forget the next part is, hey, you need to have the heart to open to learn, to read, to understand all the materials that handed to you. Because in Toastmasters, this is a self-learning journey. We have to mold ourselves and then push ourselves to go through. No one gonna come and nudge you like, hey, you need to do this, your job. So thank you so much, Ali. Now we're gonna move to last on the panel, this panelist, which is Sonny. Would you love to share something towards the question?
Hi, everyone. This is what we call leaders beyond borders. From different parts of the world, when someone is having bed coffee, another one is having dessert after dinner. Wonderful. Now, I think I am the senior most in this group. I am 60 years old with 25% what? So you can imagine what my age is. Now, first of all, let me tell you, I had no expectations from Toastmasters. Absolutely no expectations because I had never heard of Toastmasters. When the Toastmaster Club was started in Qatar, none of us, no member, heard the word Toastmasters, including the person who were starting the club, the sponsor. He only read it somewhere. No idea. So we joined the Toastmasters. In fact, when the first Toastmaster Club was started, I was in Bahrain. And one of my friends filled the form on my behalf. And since he was a very good friend of mine, I accepted it without knowing what it was. And that was the beginning of a history of change in my life. First club, I was a club executive member. I was the first area coordinator in Qatar, first area governor, Qatar, first division governor, and first district governor from Qatar. And I was the first region advisor in the world. And the biggest, funniest part is, I have not contested for any of these posts, including the region advisor. I was called from the headquarters and said, Sunny, we would like you to be the region advisor. I said, what the hell is that? Yeah, that is a new post that we are starting. Coming to think of it, I feel that in our lives, there is one person or one occasion or one incident that changed our lives. I was one among the members the charter members of Doha Toastmasters Club. And by the way, at that time, Doha Toastmasters was the seventh club among 8 countries. The first was Ali Shahbaz, a country, Bahrain. Second was Saudi Arabia. Doha Club was the seventh club in the 8 countries. So we went to Bahrain for GTC Council. That time we were not district, we were not territorial council. We called this Gulf Toastmasters Council, formed by us only. So we were having dinner over there. At that time, the GTC governor was a person called Janagi Patnaik. I had never talked to him because I found that he was too senior, too big for me to go and talk to him. He came to me while having dinner. He said, Sonny, take your plate and come over there. And he has a commanding voice. I said, Janki, I will finish my dinner. Take your plate and come there to the president's, the past GTC governor's table. I went there. I want you to be the area coordinator for Qatar. That means we had only 2 clubs. My mission was to make one more club and make Qatar an area. And I couldn't say no because he was too big. And that year, instead of one club, I started 3 clubs. Then I became the first area governor. I started 5 clubs. Then I became the division governor. And what I'm telling is, it was that person who, Janagi, he picked me and helped me to climb the leadership ladder. I asked Janagi so many times, Janagi, who told you my name? Because I have not even talked to you. Somebody must have referred my name to you. He said, no, I will not tell you that. And 2 years back, he passed away. Even before that, I asked him, Janaki, tell me, who is that person who referred my name? My dear friends, I enjoyed my life and my leadership in Toastmasters. And if you ask me what is the definition of leadership, ultimately I can say it all depends upon your usefulness to others, nothing else. How we become a leader is, there are so many other qualifications you can say, definitions you can say. Whether you are the president of a country or a president of a Toastmaster club or any district level or international level you take, it all depends upon how useful you are to others. He will say that he was a wonderful person, wonderful leader, wonderful president. It's all because his usefulness to others. And one of that usefulness is you have to believe in inclusiveness. We will find that when we go to different arenas and areas, the importance of inclusiveness, how the people were neglected in certain areas. And there, your leadership will apply to be useful to everybody. Over to you, ma'am.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you, the 5 panelists. What an inspiring collection of beginnings. And it's amazing for everybody to think about it. All of their leadership journey starts equally a little bit unsure. They were like, I'm not sure what I'm going. But Carol shared with us, which is, this is not a workplace. Set the right expectation. You're going to find some obstacles, but you got to be there eventually, reach it. And Lee told us, hey, it's okay, throw into this unknown world, learning by doing, learning by teaching, and eventually you will grow into another confident leaders. And what Elliot Sonny told us was about servant leaderships. Once you find your own voice, once you find your own responsibilities, this is the time you start serving, start help people, start make yourself useful. And just to remind everybody, was very important what Ali shared with us. Passion is not enough. Say yes. This is the first step, but also have to motivate yourself. Keep on learning, keep pushing yourself. Thank you so much. That was a very, very wonderful opening. Now, I will actually wanted to ask a little bit more, dive deep into 2 different areas, because leadership grows not only from what we do, but also where and with whom we do it. So the first question I would like to actually explore a little bit is how to adapting leadership across different cultures. And for this part, I would love to invite Elliot, Ali, and Sonny to share a little bit. And I do tailored a little bit question for 3 of you. So maybe I would love to have Ali first, because I heard about you've led leaders across multiple countries in Gulf region. My question was, what culture difference most reshape your leadership approach?
Awesome. So what happened is, what I'll just give you some kind of demographic about Middle East districts. You might hear Middle East, you might hear Gulf countries, but let me tell you, I would say hypothetically, 80 to 90% are expats. So, and that's our strength. Our diversity has become our strength. So, uh, Now you would see more of locals joining Toastmasters, but since the beginning, our first club was back in 1964 in Manama in Bahrain, and it was chartered by a group of expats, especially um, engineers who were working at the petroleum industry, British engineers. So, and then it carried on to different nationalities coming in the region and empowering Toastmasters. So, most of the NGOs have such diverse crowd. Uh, I myself, being a Bahraini national, I started my journey with Filipino Club Toastmasters. I was there for 8 years. And then now I am in the Bahrain Advanced Club Toastmasters, where again 50% hypothetically are expats, and then we have Bahrainis. I'll just give one quick experience which I had where I got to learn so much. It's again going back to leadership, and when you really are carrying that label and you need to serve. There was this district council once with nearly 400 plus people. And you can imagine 300 plus clubs, right? So how big will be the district council? So there was this group of people came to me from Qatar, and they told me that Ali, thanks for organizing everything, but we are a little disappointed because there is no vegetarian corner. And I was like, okay, why? And then they told me we are vegetarians and religious sentiments. So I said, well, let me get that arranged quickly for you. And I told the logistics manager of the district, get that corner prepared immediately for them. So we had to order some vegetarian food and keep it on the side. And I was so happy that I got to learn something and I could serve some people and make their day. And they are still my good friends in Qatar after that gesture. So, and thanks to Toastmasters International, it's seriously international. Over to you.
Thank you so much. That was such lovely story to hear. And this made us to realize, to understand other people's culture, to respect their language, their eating habits is so important because they open their heart and then they start communicate with us. And that's the key for communication is we building this heart-to-heart communication instead of saying something too big to impress them. Thank you so much. Now I would love to actually, speaking of heart, next person I would love to invite is Elliot because I heard her one heart speech and then she mentored lots of multicultural and multilingual speakers, including my own club, Cyber5. So Elliot, what leadership adjustment have you made when you have to guide people who communicate differently from you? Elliot, you forgot to unmute yourself.
Please unmute.
There you go again. You're asking a multicultural question. And look at that. Behind me is Chinese word and pronunciation. Yi Xing, one heart. For Pete's sake. What does one heart mean? Wow. Talk about inclusiveness. Isn't that something? You see? So the part why I start to right away speak in two languages in our meeting is I had the privilege to be part of a speech of 100 speakers to celebrate 100 years. And I was speaker number 99 after so many speeches. And I said, excuse me, this is an international organization. I noticed all the speeches are in English. Oh, I said, I really appreciate all the Anglophiles that are here. And for so many years, I said, but I started a club 12 years ago called San Francisco Mandarin English Toastmasters Club. Wow. Why did you do that? Why are you complicating things? Well, I just thought, according to Nelson Mandela, he says, if you speak to a man in a language he can understand, you will reach his head. But if you speak to a person in his language, you will reach his heart. Wow. Well, with all the speeches that we're giving, and we're also encouraged to speak from our heart, speak it from our heart. It's a bit of a challenge when it's not your native tongue, isn't it? So that's why I decided, why not? I'm going to start a bilingual club. And why Mandarin and English? Why not? Because the two economic nations right now, so far, has been China and the United States, maybe all the British empires as well. So it turns out that when I allowed us to be speaking, whatever your speech is, you could speak it in speech in Mandarin or English, or even more challenging, bilingual. Wow. Talk about, because most of your audience these days are multicultural, aren't they? And I would safely say, most of your audience are also bilingual, multilingual. So that's where I was coming from when I started the club, but also started one in New York City as well, where the United Nations are, and then Silicon Valley, where we cover both coasts. But thanks for asking.
Thank you so much, Elliot. And this is something very stood out is when you start talking in the people's language, they start understand, they start communicate with you. That leads me to the next question, which I would love to hear Sonny to the answer to that question. Because when you first introduced your leadership journey, you talked about how Toastmaster was new to Qatar, new to your country. And then you built 3, you built 5. But how? What helped you earn trust and bring people on board? Because I'm sure it's new to all of them. How do you earn their trust and bring people on board to build such now fast-growing, I would say fast-growing district in the world? I'm sorry, you also forgot to unmute yourself.
I'm so sorry. Thank you, but thank you very much. As I said in the beginning, we cannot concise the whole word of leadership in one word or one sentence. It takes a lot of things. And in your leadership, what I found was to be a successful leader, be good with all others who are working for you. Because you cannot become a leader by yourself. Others make you leader. You cannot one morning get up and say, I'm a leader. Because when others make you a leader, they had a lot of expectations from you. And first thing is, as a leader, my strategy was I used to call all the division governors, area governors, even the club presidents when I was the district governor. Well, that time it was called district governor, not district director, the good old days. So even just by talking to others, you get a lot of things done. And you may have to do a lot of things. For example, when I was the division governor, it was Qatar and Kuwait was one division. In Kuwait, 2 area governors were so much a problem, they don't even talk to each other. And that country, that division was doing so bad, that area was doing so bad. I think I was a district governor. They won't even talk to each other. What I did, I called both of them. On behalf of the other fellow, I apologized to him. I apologized to both of them for what happened. And they felt so bad because the district governor is apologizing. They became friends. I got what I wanted. The division became President's Distinguished. And even today, I don't know what the problem was. As a leader, they should know that you love them. That's the best thing, that's the first thing you have to do. Others should feel that you are worthy of being a leader. As I said, when I was a division, as a region advisor, I didn't apply for the post. I was wondering, my God, how could they call my name? I'm a very ordinary guy in some part of the world, but that's a trust. And another thing is the integrity, which probably you may not know what happened once. When I was the district governor, one district governor from the world was disqualified. In spite of being a top, he was disqualified. They announced that one district governor was disqualified. So I asked Johnny, who he was the president. Johnny, tell me, what was the reason? He was just dodging and he didn't tell me the reason. The Donna Grow was the CEO. I asked Donna, please tell me. I want to know because tomorrow I may do that mistake. I want to know why that person was disqualified. Generally, it doesn't happen. District governor is getting disqualified. What he did was, he took the district fund to pay the membership of so many people in the club, to keep the membership of the clubs, active. Many things that we don't know. We only want to get things done. But it always gives the importance of integrity. I'll narrate another example of that integrity later. Over to you, Mama. The time is up.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Sonny. And I love that reminder, which is leadership isn't about wearing a badge. It's about getting people to really walk with you, not just work for you. And of course, none of those will happen without trust, which that brings to our next theme that I would love to ask Lee and Carol to help us to explore a little bit more, which is on trust. Now, the first question I want to invite Lee to share a little bit with us, because you support people to grow through education, mentorship, and structured development pathways. But when working with people from different regions or backgrounds, what's the specific tricks you do to help you build that trust and credibility quickly?
Thank you, Faye. One of the things that I do is to find out the similarities and differences, particularly the cultural differences, cultural similarities. What is important to one person may not be important to another person. For example, because of my project management background, for me, timeline, I've got to get this done. I've got deadlines and everything, and I'm process driven. But somebody might go, oh, it's okay, we'll get it done. And so what I had to do was to learn their style, to learn what worked with them, and then adapt. Because at the end of the day, it's for us to work together. I love what Sunny said. Build trust and walk with them. Not walk in front of them, but walk with them. This reminded me of just recently we had a number of area contests and we have a number of new area directors. And of course, being new, sometimes they're not sure what to do. And even in my own district or districts overseas. And so what I did was to walk with them, find out what are their styles, what do they know. Some people might go, no, this has to be done, and you're not doing the right thing. But for me, it was, well, you've done your best, you've given it a go, and you learn by experimenting with it. Because if you don't experience it, how can you learn from it? And so what I do is, this was from a lesson a long time ago when I visited China, and being from Australia, I brought the Australian culture or tradition. I would go up to the leaders, shake their hand, give my business cards, you know. But then somebody told me, Lee, unless they speak to you, unless they give you their business card, you don't go up to them. And that was a big lesson for me. And from then on, I always find out wherever I go, find out the culture, find out the local culture, and so that I can work with them and not just impose on them my belief or my practices. Back to you, Faye.
Wow, thank you, Lee. That was a very quick trick that you shared with us. And then that's something, somehow that reminds me of a word of empathy versus sympathy. Because when you really empathetic empathize with somebody is you actually need to kneel down to the level of that person and start understanding their culture, the similarity with you, the difference with you, and then you work from there, not just dragging them to somewhere that you believe. Thank you so much. Now I would love to give the question to Carol. Hi, Carol. Because you're very known for creating teams where people feel safe and feel valued and feel empowered. So, from your experience, what practical action helps people to feel genuinely safe to speak up, to take risks, or lead in Toastmaster environment?
I think there's a couple of components to that, Faye. For me, in any team, whether it's in my professional life or Toastmasters, is coming back to some of the questions that the other panelists have had, and it's around understanding cultural or societal norms for people. And I've made sure that I really understand the cultures that I'm working with in any team. Something Lee said, what is important to them? And secondly, or even more importantly for me, what's offensive? Because you don't want to do something that is offensive for one culture. So, for example, for my own, I'm of Polynesian Samoan descent, and in our culture, it's actually quite rude to make eye contact. And of course, what does Toastmasters teach us? Eye contact. So it's being able to work around and understanding things that are important to people's cultures. When you take the time to learn and understand, I'm also multilingual, and I believe that helps, that I'll always, if it's not a language I speak, I will make sure that I have a lot of phrases in that language to show people that I value them and I care and I want to learn about them. And that helps if I can't speak their own language fluently. By building that trust and rapport aspect, people do start to learn to feel trusted and valued. Believe it or not, some of you don't know me, I'm a very direct speaker. I'm just boom. If it enters my brain, it will come out my mouth. And I'm absolutely very direct and to the point. I say what I mean, and I mean what I say. Once people learn that about me, they feel very free to be actually very open and honest with me. I'm also prepared to be incredibly vulnerable. I'll admit where I'm wrong. I'll admit where I don't know. That is something that really builds trust. If I don't have a skill, I'll always leverage that skill. And I think that gives people empowerment. Hey, I'm no good at marketing. You're excellent at it. How can we work together to create that? And just, being vulnerable enough to say, that's not my wheelhouse. It's not my skill set, brings trust. So I think understanding people's culture as much as you can, try to speak some of their language, be vulnerable, open and honest, and it creates trust and empowerment it's just incredible, and it works professionally and in Toastmasters. We're all living in melting pots these days. We need to understand how to do that. And I know I'm over time, but I'm just slightly going to add, I live in a country that's very much a melting pot. However, we are very, very bad here at understanding our own Indigenous culture. So I want to give a plug for anyone that ever lives in New Zealand or comes to New Zealand, understand our Indigenous culture, because Toastmasters in our district doesn't do well at it and needs to uplift. Back to you, Faye.
Thank you. Thank you, Carol. That was such powerful answer for that, because I think one thing is something that we always have misunderstanding. Being a leader, we need to be powerful, be straight on point. But it's so important, just show who you really are, show the vulnerability. So that way people come and support you, and people naturally get attracted by you. They come and support and walk with you. Thank you so much. So because we have short time, we are going to wrap up. So we will then before the Q&A, because we would like to hear the questions from audience, not just from me, because I ask the questions because I want to hear them. So we would like to wrap up our panel before Q&A. Before this, I will throw you one last short rapid fire reflection. Please answer only in 1 to 3 words. So the question is to all of the panelists. What does lead without borders mean to you? What does lead without borders mean to you? Only 1 to 3 words. Who wants to take the challenge? Oh yeah, Ali.
Global village.
Wow. Thank you. It's a Roman village, right?
Global.
A global
Global,
village.
global.
Global. Thank you. And Sonny?
Well, I would say the inclusiveness, global inclusiveness.
Global inclusiveness. Wow. Thank you. And Lee?
This is what my mentor said to me. Be true to yourself. Don't change, just be yourself.
So true to yourself. Wow. And Elliot?
Time zones. Ha ha ha! You did not expect me to do that. Ha ha! I'm already inclusive. I love everybody, but it's the time zone that's gonna get you all, isn't it?
Yes,
Absolutely.
absolutely.
I have people in New York. I have people in New Zealand. Come on. You have me speaking at 10 p.m. and you guys get to be on a Sunday afternoon. How inclusive could I get? It is true. I love you all, but it is a trick, isn't it? To make sure that we all could meet at the right time zone. That's my 2 words.
Thank you, time zone. And last, Carol?
Inclusivity, boundary free.
Inclusivity and boundary free. Thank you. Wow, that was very powerful. I would say 45 minutes. I feel like the time goes too fast because every single time I saw Lisa start putting red lights, it give me nerves. Thank you. Now we would like to move on to Q&A session. And if you would like, you can just unmute yourself, ask questions, or you can send the questions to me and I will help you read out the questions. Well, I will give everybody a little bit time to think, but I do have a question to prepare. And I already received from our Zoom master got a question. So I'm going to read that one out. And feel free, anyone wants to unmute themselves to like reply. I will say keep it to 2 to 3 minutes. Yeah, 2 to 3 minutes. So this is question from Esther. Kiora, my question is, in Toastmasters, we don't always get to choose the team we work with. How can we get the best out of people that we wouldn't have chosen for our team? Anybody wants to answer this question? 2 to 3 minutes. Oh, Sonny.
But I think I can answer that. During the election time, I always emphasize the point, especially you may find a lot of people want to be area governors, division governors, district leaders. I tell them first, you should know the responsibility. I'm sorry. For as an area governor, your priority should be to start at least one club. I tell them, I threaten them, saying that if you don't do your job properly, you are going to be a failure. You will be considered as a failure in Toastmasters because Ali knows and many others knows that when we interview the candidates for a international director or a regional advisors, the whole history, the whole horoscope is there in front of them. And we know that what are the things that this person has done and where all he failed as a leader and will be taken very seriously. I tell them, if you fail as an area governor, if you don't start at least one club, if you don't make your division into a president's distinguished division, you are going to be a failure. So keep that in your mind, you take up a leadership. In fact, a way of threatening them, well, to get our things done. They are all capable people, but this is the way I remind them of their responsibilities before taking up their role. Over to you, ma'am.
Wow, thank you, Sony. And this is something that I think tied back to what Elliot said before. Once you find your own voice, you need to realize you have responsibility because people start trusting you and start follow your leadership. Thank you. And Elliot, I saw you raise your hand. Do you want to ask a question or answer the question?
It will be a answer that will create questions. How about that? I'm going to get a little mysterious and a little metaphysical. So how to get the team, the people you want to work with, or end up with people you don't want to work with? I cheat a little bit. I use the law of attraction and the power of intention. I actually started the 6 clubs, and the 6 clubs I started is very suggestive. I started a wellness Toastmasters because guess what? That's what I love. I started a club called San Francisco Mandarin English Toastmasters Club because I want people to love bilingualism. I started one called Mindfulness. I have one called High Spirits. I have one called Study Groups. So you sort of get the drift, huh? I love education. I love spiritualism. I love wellness. So guess what? When I started a club and they show up, I'm not surprised. I'm not going to join the club on widgets, like, increase your IQ. You could join it, but so this is what I mean. Start a club of something you love and they'll show up.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Elliot. Oh, we do have another question coming from the audience. Ooh, this has come all the way from Shanghai, China. Also Cyber5's president, Sam. Now, the question is, someone prefers working solo, but the position requires him to lead a team. How can he balance these 2 different styles and become a more effective leader? Ooh. Anybody wants to take this challenge?
Ali raised his hand.
Is
Ali
Ali?
raised his hand.
Yeah.
I'm in a committee now. I can't give so much of details, but I'm in a committee where there is an individual who loves working solo. But you know what? It's never solo. They do end up working with others. Uh, they start solo, they think they can do it all, but eventually it doesn't work. Uh, there is no solo world champion of public speaking. There is no solo judge, chief judge. There is no solo president. Whatever solo it is, it's never too solo. Uh, People work in a team, and that's how we grow. There might be a mentality out there, or many who think that they can work alone and get all the credit they want. It's okay, let them get the credit, but the truth is, they all work in the team as Elliot said, metaphysical uh, stuff. It's all in their subconsciousness that they are working solo, but it's never solo. Over to you, Faye.
You are muted, Fee. You are muted.
Oh, yeah. Oh, sorry. Sorry. Yeah. Thank you, Ali, for just sharing. Yeah, you maybe subconsciously thought you were working solo, but end up never have solo work. And anybody wants to
I just want to jump
start?
into
Oh,
what
yeah.
Ali said, because if the people who prefer to work solo, I always remind the members that we don't do Toastmasters just to do Toastmaster. So if your work or your career involves having to deal with people, you cannot find a better place to practice those skills than in the safe environment that we put here with good feedback and all kinds of leaders to help you figure this out. So, some of us confess to be introverts. We all have heard that before, but we all need to work outside of Toastmasters with people. So, you give them their whys.
Yeah, I like how Ilya was saying that.
Yeah, Fee,
Yep, Sonny, go
sorry.
for it.
What I can say that you can lead a country in the most democratic way. You can also get things done being a dictator. So in both ways, you get things done. See, a person who is doing solo, he may be very productive. He may be very productive. He may get things done. He may take that area or district to a smedley distinguished level. He will get things done. But he will not be considered as a good leader by others. He will never earn the respect of others. But what he is supposed to do, the productiveness, he may be able to achieve. So I can't say he's bad, but he will not be considered as a good person by the colleagues or the subordinates.
Wow, thank you. Lee.
Indeed. Apologies, I was coughing just now. We always say team, TEAM, together we achieve more. One person, there's only 24 hours a day, but together, the one person can lead. We can come up with ideas, we can share the workload, and we can achieve more together. And this is what we also meant about leadership. The leadership can come from anywhere. You don't even have to be in a leadership position to be a leader. You can have someone in your team who are leaders as well. But you should be the one to set the vision, and so that everyone, as you work together, you delegate the tasks, the responsibility, and we can achieve more. And this is what I always say to my students as well. Sometimes they say to me, "Oh, but we don't want group work. We just want to do individually." I say, "Fine, but what are you developing? When you leave university and you enter the workforce, you will have to work with a team. What skills would you have developed by then?" And then and reluctantly they'll go, "All right, okay, we'll do it." But I said to them, Toastmasters and university, that's the best platform for us to learn, to start to work on our skills and develop, so that when we leave the university and when we enter the workforce, we are ready, hopefully. Fingers crossed. That's what I say to my students. Back to you, Faye.
Thank you. Thank you, Lee. Carol, do you want to add something?
On that particular question, or?
Yeah, on that particular question.
I think it's hard. Look, that's a double-edged sword question. I don't think there's a wrong answer or a right answer for that one, because as Ali said, oftentimes we do need to work alone to maybe build or develop a product. And then there comes a point where collaboration becomes really important, about sharing, tweaking, refining, and working together. So I think you need both. Something that struck me with Sam's initial question was, though, to become an effective leader, you had to always be, working in the team, is what I got implicitly from that. And I think an effective leader can be a lone wolf at times as well, and don't. I think don't be deterred by the fact that someone may produce something alone and share later. It doesn't make them ineffective. And have a look at the context or what's driving that behavior, because oftentimes someone's working alone because the people in their team cannot be relied upon to deliver. They're not going to meet the deadlines. They're not going to do the product. So they need to work alone and work really hard to get that. If they sit and take the credit for the whole thing, that's really bad. But if they sit back and say it was a whole team effort when it's not, so everyone looks good, hopefully other people will then think, oh gosh, I got some credit and I didn't actually participate or given. And I think part of being effective is always taking that accountability, sharing credit, but sometimes realizing that you are given a team that you don't want to work with, and they're never going to deliver. They haven't got the skills or the ability that we need. You know, Toastmasters is a great ground for leadership and learning some leadership skills. What often we're missing is some of the self-awareness that comes with leadership and understanding where the cap on your leadership potential or abilities are, because there is a cap for some people. They're great to hear, but they don't have the skills to be here, and having to have some self-awareness and recognition is also part of good leadership. That I'm good as the club president, but I'm not going to be great as an area director because I just don't have the skills that are added on to that, the skill set that's required to go there. So having some self-awareness, I think, is really important part of leadership. We see bad leaders, and it's because they don't have high EQ or self-awareness.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you. That was very powerful, Carol. And also to all the panelists. Yeah, this is a tricky question, isn't it? We can't really define good or bad, whether work solo, because when you put different perspective, for example, being productive, just like Sonny said, it can be a good leader because he gets things done delivered well on time. But whether your team is being seen, and then, did you empower them? If you look at different perspective, then we might have different answers coming out. And I like how Lee said, one people, you only have 24 hours. And imagine if you work in a global team with different time zones, you can use that full 24 hours and then to achieve more things. And because we don't have many questions coming in, I do have one last question, because I own a 100% online Toastmaster club. And this is my question that I struggle every day is how, because we meet my members, like we meet person every day, I'm every other week online, but we never really see each other in person. How we can build that trust and the credibility through virtual screen instead of really meeting them face to face.
I'll address that. I am in San Francisco and I'm trying desperately to get people to come to an in-person meeting, because it's important that they learn to have a full body presentation. They also need to interact with people and drinking some of that oxytocin. But because Cyber Club is all the way in either Shanghai or New Zealand, I have to learn to meet online. Absolutely, And so while the controversy is online versus, offside, big conversation, don't even go there. Don't even go there. Just, if we're going to be an online club, figure different ways to make the online presence cool. I love screen sharing. Whoa! You know, they can show me pictures of all their travels and stuff like that. I don't need a projector. I don't need to put on a screen. I don't need to drive, you know. See what I mean? See what I mean? The fact that I get to be participating in this discussion, it will never happen if I have to meet with all of you in person. So just play up the fact that this is so cool. You see? Yeah. Thank you, Faye. Thank you, Rico. Thank you, everybody.
If I may share, sorry, Ali, sorry, DTM Ali, would you like to go first and then I'll go after that? Oh, that was clapping. I thought he had his hand raised. Just as we were talking about Leadership Without Borders, a few of us chartered a club, Singapore International Toastmasters, 3 years ago, and I've got two members here this afternoon. And one of the things we do is, can you imagine, we meet every Friday. When people are out partying, we are partying as well, but we're partying online. And what I've always said to them is, we need to find our USP, unique selling proposition, your unique selling point. What is it that makes us different? And the way we do it is that because we meet every Friday, first two meetings the same, the pie meeting, prepared speeches, impromptu speaking, evaluation. The third meeting, we have a workshop. The last Friday of the month, guess what? We have e-parties. We can dance online, we do exercise online, we do karaoke. Can you imagine me going to bed 7 o'clock in the morning Sydney time when people are waking up and I'm only going to bed? And this was how we built rapport. And it was a family, even though everything was online, but it was a family. And what we did do too was sometimes some events we did hybrid, where we went to a member's house. The member hosted it. The few of us were joining online and we could participate. For example, they all know I love this. This is a stinky fruit, durian. But every time they say, "Oh, come, Lee, we'll take you to have this fruit." I said, "Fantastic, I'm coming." But this is how we can do it as well. Is even though it's online, these days it's just one of these platforms. We are, remember, borderless. We can be everywhere. Just the time zone, like I said earlier, the time zone. Back to you, Faye.
Wow, thank you so much. That was so much great ideas from your sharing. Before I move on to the next section, anybody want to share your thoughts? Oh, cool. Carol and Sonny.
I'll go while Sunny.
I too belong to one club, one online club. And actually, they all belong to one place, but all scattered in different parts of the world. And they are from US to Japan. And many of them I have not met, but we are so friendly. We know so much each other because we meet them every Thursday for the meeting. And what I do whenever I travel that side, if anybody is there, I just visit them. Last time when I went with my family, I went to one house. They were so good, so loving. He put so much fruits, as Lee said, in the car boot, jackfruit and mangoes. We love each other, even though we have not met. I think it's a wonderful feeling, when you meet these people for the first time. I love them. Oh, you, man.
Thank you. And Carol, you want to share anything?
Yeah, I mean, I love that we have so many online or hybrid clubs and Toastmasters now, because what's happened in our professional lives, we operate in the corporate world on Teams. I know for me, I lead remotely. I have people that work in the office, I do, but I have many of my people are working in different sites of New Zealand, and I need to make sure that I'm making them feel part of the team, that we get to know each other. So you do learn to make some different ways of building that connection online and being a little bit more innovative. And being innovative never hurts any of us, right? So we can bring that into online, but then it just follows through to the rest of the things we do. I think of people that I've only met online. So, for example, Faye, I always think and admire you so much. I've never met you in person, and I have always felt that sort of a bond with you. With my sister Saha there, I've only ever met her in person once, but I feel like she's my sissy, and everything's just been online, so you can absolutely build connection through being online. And as we stop traveling in our workplaces and have to do things online, it's really good for us to be adapting in that Toastmasters world as well. You know, the world is only as small as the on-off button on your PC these days.
Wow, love that. Love the ending quote. And with all of today, we talked about so much about what's your leadership journey, and then things that we try to hear from you to empower all the audience. I'm sure once the videos get to upload to YouTube, we're gonna reach more audience. But I would love to do another round of rapid fire question. Is everybody ready? So the last question will be very, very, you have to also answer it very short, but can be go over 3 words, because we talked about leadership. I want to know what is next for your leadership journey. What is next for your leadership journey? Sonny.
Well, for me, if I say help others to become leaders.
Wow, help others to become leaders. Thank you so much. Carol?
Next on my leadership journey, well, it's happening in January. I'm moving to a tropical island to become a finance and business mentor on a third world platform. I'm an economist, so I'll be there in an economic space, but also mentoring financially and business. So that will be a huge new leadership journey for me.
Wow, sounds exciting. Thank you, Carol. And Lee?
Nurturing and empowering leaders of the future.
Thank you. Yeah, for the future generation. Thank you. Elliot?
Just say yes. Isn't that what Ali has said? Just say yes. There's a whole period where people say that we don't draw boundaries. We need to learn boundaries. You need to say no. I'm just going the other way. I'm just saying yes to so many things because hopefully we have all built the confidence that whatever we say yes to, we probably should know. We could handle it. Yeah.
Thank you. And then I just remember what Ali said. Don't forget to read. Ali, what's your answer?
I always believe that whatever we might be out of the club level, when we come back to the club, that's what's actually defines us because that's our home, that's our lab, and keep improvising myself at the club, my speeches, my evaluations. So what we do in the club is really us, and we need to keep polishing ourselves.
Thank you. Thank you. Ooh, our time is running very fast. So as we leave today's panel discussion, hope all of us, all the audience, and including today's our honorable panelists, we all remember leadership is not about where you are, but who you are and who you lift. Let's continue lead beyond boundaries, beyond comfortable time zones, and beyond titles. Thank you to all the panelists, and I will bring the control back to workshop facilitator Renku.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's give Fei Chen a big round of applause. Thank you. Kia ora, tēnā koutou katoa. Greetings to everyone. On behalf of District 72, I would like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to our panelists, Sonny Verghese, Ali Shabazz Ali, Lee Buckley, Elliot Mao, and Carol Mitchell. They are all distinguished Toastmasters. Ladies and gentlemen, when I first approached them in the first week of October last month, yes, proposing different dates because they are located in different countries, guess what? They are all were so accommodative. They said one sentence, I'm okay with any dates. Rinku, just choose. Isn't it amazing, these true leaders? So they made this process, this event so easy for me. Thank you, dear panelists, the greatest leaders. Thank you for your generosity to share your time and your insights. I'm 100% sure that everybody feels empowered today morning, today afternoon, and today night for us. A special thanks to Program Quality Director, Distinguished Toastmaster Lisa Coppins, for creating this wonderful opportunity to learn and grow together, and for serving the timer today. Thank you, Lisa. Thank you, Fei Chen, for designing that beautiful flyer, and your creativity shines through, that's for sure. And for moderating today's panel discussion so smoothly and effectively. Toastmaster Esther, thank you for managing the registrations and Zoom platform so seamlessly. Oh, we appreciate your behind the scenes work that everybody should know. Give her a big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Finally, to each of you who joined us today, Naga Mihinui Ki o Kotukatoa. Thank you, everyone, for your time, your presence, and your spirit of learning. Together, we continue to strengthen our community of leaders. With this, I hand over the virtual stage to our District Director, Kaylin. Kaylin, over to you.
Thank you, Rinku. What more could I possibly say after all that? An amazing session. There's so much in there. I can't even begin to figure out which is going to be the first most important thing. However, something that Elliot said, it is about saying yes, and it really resonated with me because that's how I got into Toastmasters myself, by someone always saying, if somebody asks you something, just say yes. As I said, there's so much in this session tonight, but thank you so much to all of our panelists, to Rinko, to Faye, to Lisa. There's so much in there for all of our members to get something out of, and yeah, I'd just really like to leave it on Rinku's comments, I think, because she was amazing. But yeah, I think just say yes for me would be the big key takeaway, and you just never know where you're going to end up. You might end up on a call like this or organising one. So thank you all. It's been a great session. And I look forward